my name's Sydney Gregson from Saracens Women, and you're watching the Women's Rugby Show.
Hello, and welcome back to the Women's Rugby Show. I'm Sam, by the way, and today I'm here with a part 2 of our Team GB and Tokyo 2021 Olympic Rugby 7 special as we preview tomorrow's and the rest of the week's action in the Women's Sevens tournament out in Tokyo. A few weeks ago we brought you interviews with Abby Brown and Emma Uren about their build-up and preparation and what the Olympics means to them. Now today I'm going to be previewing each pool and also taking a close look at Team GB and seeing how they're going to do in this tournament. Before we get into the video, make sure you like this video, subscribe to us on YouTube, and also check us out across all social medias as well. If you've done all that, well, let's get into the video. Before we get into previewing this year's games, let's take a look back at Rio 2016, to when Rugby Sevens was included in the Olympics for the first time ever. For Sevens' first inclusion in the games, we had 12 qualified teams, just as we do this year, with Australia, New Zealand, Canada, Great Britain, USA, Fiji, Spain, Brazil, Japan, Kenya and Colombia all qualifying for the first Olympic Sevens tournament in Rio. And after the opening group stages, we had our 8 quarter-finalists, with Australia beating Spain in the first one, Canada beating France in the second, GB beating Fiji, and the USA narrowly falling to New Zealand in that final quarter-final. In the semis though, however, the 2 Southern Hemisphere sides went through to the gold medal match, with New Zealand beating Great Britain and Australia scraping past Canada. And unfortunately for GB, they fell in the bronze final too, to Canada. But in the final, despite a brace from Kayla McAllister and a late try from Portia Warden for New Zealand, it was their closest rivals who took home gold, with Charlotte Caslick scoring what proved to be the vital try in that final for Australia. So let's get into this year's tournament out in Tokyo. Depending on when you are watching this at home, depends how far we are through the men's tournament. But as I record this, Team GB have just got through to the semi-finals after beating the USA 26-21 after coming back from 21-0. And they'll face New Zealand in the semi-finals, so a huge good luck to them. But moving back to the women's tournament, and this year's teams don't actually differ too much from back in Rio, with all but 2 teams returning, with the Russian Olympic Committee and China replacing Spain and Colombia respectively, with Russia qualifying alongside France in the final qualifying tournament in Monaco back in June, and China qualifying from the 2019 Asian qualifying tournament. Interestingly, in qualification, South Africa actually won the African qualification tournament, but due to the South African Sports Confederation and Olympic Committee's controversial ruling that prevents South African teams from qualifying from an African regional tournament, means that South Africa won't be at Tokyo 2020 and Kenya will. Now that the qualifying's out of the way, let's take a look at the 3 group stages before we dive deeper into each group. Group A sees our main point of focus, was last time silver medalists take on GB, Kenya and the Russian Olympic Committee. And GB's first game is against the Russian Olympic Committee on Thursday morning at 3 AM British time before they take on New Zealand at 10:30 later on Thursday, and then finishing against Kenya at 3 AM on Friday. In Group B, we have Rio 2016 bronze medalist Canada, as well as France, Fiji and last time's host Brazil. And finally, Group C houses Rio 2016 champions Australia, the USA, China, as well as hosts Japan. So let's take a deeper look into this year's groups, and we'll leave Team GB to last. So let's start with Group B, looking at top seeds in the group, and 2016 bronze medalist Canada. Canada actually come into this tournament as a second seed and finished the 2020 World Rugby 7 Series in 3rd place. And they are one of my favourites to take home the gold under the guidance of coach Mick Byrne from Australia and captain and leading point scorer in series history, Ghislaine Landry. The reason why they come into this one of my favourites is that their team is remarkably similar from their bronze winning squad of 2016, with 6 of their 13-player squad returning to aim for the highest steps on the podium this time. One of those players returning is the electric Charity Williams, who's impressed ever since she burst onto the scene back in the 2014 Youth Olympics, before taking bronze in the 2016 Rio Olympics. You can't, however, count out their competitors France, the team who finished the 2020 World 7 Series in 4th place. The only returner in the France squad, however, is coach David Courtois, with every one of their players coming to Tokyo for their Olympic debuts. However, watch out for some of their 15 stars in fly-half Caroline Drouin and the powerful dynamic 7 centre partnership of Jade Ulutuli and Carla Neeson. A certain danger to anyone should they qualify for the quarterfinals. It would also be unfair to discount either Fiji or Brazil, Both teams have quality which can beat the very best. The Fijians, another team where every player is at their first Olympics, will play the Fijian way we are so used to seeing in the men's game and come to the games with a dual international in former netballer Regiel Davo. And Brazil have one of the game's fastest players in Talia Costa, and they're actually coached by a Brit in Will Broderick, who was English born before he represented in Brazil in 15s and 7s after moving out to coach there. One of the more unique stories in this tournament. Group C, we have our 2016 Rio gold medalists in Australia. They actually come into this tournament as third seed, and I think that actually is a fair seeding, but it has placed them in a slight group of death. They have 5 of their gold medal winning squad from Rio back to aim to win back-to-back golds, and co-captains Shani Williams and Shannon Perry, as well as Vanya Petit, Emma Tonagato, and one of the superstars of the Sevens game, Charlotte Caslick. Also keep an eye out in their squad for 20-year-old Madison Ashby, who's in the media 7 years ago in Australia as a 13-year-old, speaking about her Olympic dream, and this is now obviously something she has achieved. And alongside the defending champions in Group C, one of my outsider contenders, and that's the USA. The USA, the 4th seed team in the tournament, have plenty of quality capable of upsetting the odds and getting on that Tokyo 2020 podium. There are 2 returners from Rio where they finished 5th, with Lauren Doyle and former ice hockey player Alev Kelter, who has a potential to rip up the 7s pitch. They are co-captained by Abby Gustasis and Chris Thomas, but keep an eye out for Alona Mayer, a star on TikTok, that's for all you young fans, who've been keeping Team USA fans entertained in the build-up to the tournament. Elsewhere in Group C, we have Olympic debutants China, as well as host Japan, who seeded 9th and 10th respectively. Both sides aren't core teams on the 7 series, which you could argue would give them a minor disadvantage, but you can also say that they may spring a surprise. China are coached by another Brit in Ewan McIntosh, and their one to watch is Chen Kei, who scored 9 tries in the Asian qualifier, which brought them to this games. For Japan, who are coached by New Zealander Hare Makiri, they come into the home games like any players in Rio 5 years ago. But they do have a star in the making in 19-year-old Rinka Mitsuda, who's actually only made 1 World Series appearance, so she's got the inexperience, but she's also got that quality as well. The Group C is a really tough group to call for me. And finally, into Group A and Team GB's group. And Great Britain are actually the 3rd seed within this group, with New Zealand and the Russian Olympic Committee both seeded ahead of them. However, Scott Forrest has named an exciting squad, packed with 15s internationals, a World Cup winner and exciting talents across the board, as well as 3 players with 7s experience at the Olympics, and Meg Jones, who travelled to Rio as a reserve. Jones is one of her side's co-captains this time, alongside Abby Brown, who's one of the 3 with Olympics experience, alongside Mo Hunt and Jazz Joyce. We know from watching the Premier 15s this season that the talent this squad possesses, with Helena Rowland, Holly Aitchison and Celia Kwanzaa all capable of flipping a game on a knife edge. You also have the power of the Scots in Lisa Thompson and Hannah Smith, as well as the impressive Wasp flanker Abby Burton. But like I said, it is a tough group for Team GB, with silver medalists from Rio, New Zealand and 6th seed Russian Olympic Committee in their group, as well as Kenya. Looking at New Zealand, however, you can't help but be astonished by the quality in their side, which is captained by Sarah Herini. Herini is one of 7 of their silver medal returning side that returns from Rio to come and get that one step further this year, as well as some of their star names in Stacey Fluett and Portia Woodman. One of the most incredible stats I saw in the build-up to this tournament is that of the 24 tournaments since Rio, New Zealand have won 18, including 16 World Series events, the Rugby World Cup 7s in 2018, and 2018 Commonwealth Gold. Outstanding. The Russian Olympic Committee are making their debut in the 7s, so this is a slight advantage for Team GB, and they finally qualified after narrowly missing out on Rio qualification, losing the repechage tournament to Spain. They finished the 2020 World Series in 5th, inspired by top try scorer Elena Zadrovka. However, if GB can get a result against the ROC first up, then they'll fancy their qualification chances. And our final team in focus for Tokyo 2020 tournament is Kenya, and I must admit, they're a side I don't know much about, but they do have one player returning from Rio 2016, and that is their captain, Philadelphia Orlando. And who knows, they may pull out a shock. So now you've had a run through of all the groups and teams competing at Tokyo 2020. I'm going to give you a little run through of what may happen depending on where Team GB finish in Group A. If they win their group, then they'll be playing the second best third place team. That could be anyone from any of the 3 groups, depending on who finishes the better of the the 3 third places, with 2 of them qualifying for the quarterfinals. If they finish runners-up, then they'll play the winner of Group C, and that could be anyone from Australia, USA, China, or Japan. Could be any of those 3. And if they finish third, obviously depends if they finished above the second best place and where they rank in terms of the third places. If they were the second best third place, then they'll be playing the winner of Group A, one of Russia, New Zealand, or Kenya. If they finish second, then they'll be playing the winner of Group B, one of Canada, France, Fiji, or Brazil. Does that make sense? Only just made sense for me. So I'm glad it makes sense for all of you. But thank you for watching the Women's Rugby Show Olympic Sevens preview. Obviously, it's something we've not really done before, so I'm glad if you're watching, you've enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments what you think, and also make sure you keep an eye out on all the Tokyo 2020 coverage across all the channels it's on. Brilliant to support the Team GB girls and also everyone else in the tournament as well. Thank you for watching. I've been Sam, by the way, and you've been watching the Women's Rugby Show.